At times, candidates may have more than one offer letter in their hand, or possibly they've got an offer from an organization, and due to whatsoever reason, they decide not to go ahead and accept the offer. When it comes to such a situation where you have to reject or refuse an offer, I would suggest that you do it diplomatically and tactfully. Now, when it comes to doing this process diplomatically, you would need to bear in perspective certain points. On the foremost, you will have to understand that when it comes to refusing or rejecting an offer, it's always good never to burn bridges with an individual, group of individuals, or the organization. So, towards that effect, managing the entire process in a proper way would be extremely beneficial to you. Now, when it comes to rejecting an offer, sharing 6 points which could be of value to you in managing the process in a diplomatic and a tactful manner. The first point is when you're communicating to the organization which had issued the offer letter to you. When you plan to reach out to the point of contact, the representative from HR, or in case an executive search firm is involved, that particular person or entity, it's always good that you communicate matters on the phone rather than an email. It is better not to maintain any digital proof because in the long run or even in the short run, you never know how the content of your email may be utilized. So it's always best to communicate through the phone, and a phone communication would also lead to the thought that you have done it in a proper manner and that whatever you're communicating honestly and candidly. So that's a point that I would surely recommend. And when you're communicating, communicate without fear. Do not get into any mode of anxiety. Understand, just like how an organization has the right to select a candidate out of several candidates or out of multitudes of applications that it would have received. In the same way, every candidate also has the right to decide on which offer to accept and which not to. Just because you've attended the interviews and gone through the entire process doesn't mean that you have an obligation to accept the offer letter. At times, you come to know certain information on the organization as you go through the interviews and selection process. So it may be towards the end that you realize that this organization may not be the right organization for you. So in such a situation, you cannot join an organization knowing that there is definitely going to be a mismatch or possibly the organization's culture is not suitable to you. So there you need to be confident and don't let fear or anxiety get the better out of you. So when you're communicating on your decision on the phone, be absolutely confident without any other thoughts and do that without an iota of fear. The next point is whatever discussion or whatever communication that you're doing to the HR representative or any other representative of the recruiting organization or to the executive search firm's representative, do that with complete positivity. So I'm aware that you need to communicate a reason or possibly a point which is not very positive in nature. However, the process, regardless of whatever, you will have to do it positively. Because if negativity gets into you or negative points come out, then it's going to be detrimental to your interest. Because the focus is, although you're not going ahead with the organization, however, you do want to burn bridges or possibly do want to get into an issue where later on you may be facing any issue like getting blacklisted within a certain organization or group of organizations. So that should be the objective, where you don't damage your interests in the long term. So be as positive as possible. The third point is when you're communicating your refusal of the offer, always start with gratitude. Start with how thankful you are for the entire experience and the opportunity provided. You can specifically name individuals who have interacted with you during that particular process of interviews, and thanking them is going to be vital during that particular discussion. So always convey gratitude, that's going to be vital. The next point that you will need to do is to convey the decision. Convey the decision in a very clear manner. So let there not be any scope for misunderstanding. So you can very clearly tell that due to whatsoever reason, you would not prefer to go ahead with this particular offer. The next step you will have to do or to convey is the reason. So in case you have a proper reason, for example, you've got an offer from another organization, please transparently communicate that reason. In case you're not going ahead with the organization due to some issue pertaining to some negative information that you have received on the company or organization, on the people there, the organization by itself or its culture, there it may not be wise to communicate the exact reason. It may be good that you create a reason because, of course, you always need to be honest. However, you also don't want to get into any negative interaction or possibly end up criticizing the organization. So there you may have to communicate that you're looking at other opportunities, or possibly you feel that it's possibly not the best opportunity for you and you would like to hold on for some time. Also, due to whatsoever reason, if the organization in question tries to negotiate with you, or possibly if they assess that the reason may be financial reason, there please don't get into any financial bargaining because that would put you in a very poor light. So once you have decided not to go ahead with the offer, there you will have to be very clear. You can't change your mind because that would affect your positioning. Once you've made the decision, please go ahead with it, come what may, and communicate the reason. Try to be as honest as possible. However, in case there is any scope of negative information on the company, try to be diplomatic there, and you may not want to go into that path lest there be an unnecessary debate or negativity. The final point you'll have to bear in perspective is always be crisp, concise, clear, and as I mentioned, don't get into any criticism mode. So whatever you communicate has to be lucid. You don't need to get into a long discussion. In case the person on the other side gets into certain questions which you're not comfortable, very clearly say that I would not prefer to go ahead in a very polite and courteous manner. So don't get into any discussion, or even the person on the other side is upset with you that you have reached out or you've communicated the refusal of the offer and they had expectation or the organization had expectation that you would join in. So there be very polite and say that, I've contemplated and whatever decision I've taken, I've done after a lot of thinking. And at the end of the day, you have every right to decide because it's your career, it's your life. No one can force you to join or work with any organization. Even if someone tries to put emotional pressure, you'll have to learn to manage it. So these are the 6 points you'll have to bear in perspective for diplomatically and tactfully refusing an offer from an organization. Please never ghost an organization. So you may have this thought that at times organizations ghost candidates. So at times it's fine in case a candidate ghosts an employer or a recruitment firm. However, please don't do that. What is most important is the goodwill for you, your positioning, and understand doing something which would be detrimental to your interest, engaging in behavior which is not so professional, that would definitely impact you sooner or later. Understand that the word of mouth spreads like wildfire. Today, you may think that you have communicated something to a certain person and that's the end of it. Unfortunately, that's not the end of it. How you interact with someone is how you build the ecosystem of goodwill in your favor or the lack of it. So never ghost an organization. Communicate fearlessly. Don't be anxious. Don't feel that how would I communicate this? Because you will have to do that, because at the end of the day, in case you want to grow in your career and achieve fabulous success, in addition to the good news, you will also have to share the not so good news. You will also need to have conversations which may not be very comfortable to you. That's going to be a necessity as a part of your growth up the hierarchy. So, all the very best. Thank you for your time.